The speech that I remember, and I'm sure there was probably others, but his was like, so what do you do if you hear gunshots? Like, this is the speech?
This is what you wanted to impart before you left?
I said, I guess I run. He goes, no, you duck. This is not the college speech, man, but that was the speech.
Getting ready for college. That's the topic. So Michael's getting ready to go to college. And our good friends just dropped off their son for an early program. And so it kind of, while we weren't there, you know, he spent the night, the first night, and I found myself waking up the next morning like, you know, how did it go? It was his first night alone. How did he sleep? Did he have a good time? Did he go for a party? Has he had breakfast yet? Did he take a shower? What's the bathroom experience like? All the questions. And so I know with our son, we're going to have all the same questions. Part of me is part of you as an adult and a parent, you want to check in. You want to call and be like, you know, how's it going? How'd you sleep? All the questions. But I also remember being that age and I don't want to answer those questions. So, you know, there's that part of you that says, hold back, pump the brakes. You don't need to call.
I don't have that hold back. Matter of fact, I called him this morning.
You called him this morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he didn't.
Did he answer?
He did not. He texted me back and said, damn, man, I hit you back. All right. So I think an important piece to say that you brought up last week is that you and I both have siblings, but we're the only in our sibling pairs that have children.
Yes.
So we don't have any natural
biological
nieces and nephews.
Yes.
And so how that impacts how we address our very close friends' kids. You want to explain that?
We're auntie. I'm auntie and he's uncle. And that's how we put all of the auntie energy into those kids. So, you know, when they have games or tournaments or, you know, big events in their life, it's important for us to be there. And for me, I think I've been doing it for a little while, but it didn't really hit home until recently, where it was like, you know, this is it. So, you know, if you're going to be auntie, then you need to make sure that you're there for the important things. And that when they look back on their lives and, you know, their high school things and the things that were important to them, I'm in the audience, or we're in the audience. We're there, we're present, or we're, you know, helping to drop off. Whatever it is, I want to be present. If it's, you know, just, you know, a football game, or, hey, support, I'm doing whatever. I'm going to buy 10 t-shirts if I'm not going to wear any of them, but I'm going to buy them because you need me to. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you and I are completely opposite. I'm not buying 10 t-shirts. Don't include me on that popcorn fundraiser. And quite honestly, you're going to get a text from me before your big game, and I'm going to help you get your nutrition right and maybe talk about your training, but I'm probably not going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
So you're going to look back and you're going to be like, Uncle B really texts me a lot during my key events. You know why? Because Uncle B got retirement in mind, and I'm trying to make sure I stack my pay. I ain't got that much auntie uncle money yet.
But auntie was in the audience.
Right. That's going to be a later discussion we're going to have about money and how we view money differently. But that's not today.
Cat.
So I think the point is, you're saying we want to talk about preparing for college.
Yes.
And we're seeing it from two perspectives. We're seeing it from the parent perspective. We're seeing it from the historical perspective because Demi's already been through it.
Yeah.
And then we're seeing it from the auntie and uncle perspective. So what are some of the things that you think are important thought-wise? Like, what are some important themes going into it?
Going into what? Moving out?
What should parents be thinking about leading up into this ejection from their household of their kids going off to college?
Oh, okay. So hindsight. I would say 1,000%. And I was just telling someone this recently. Demi was being dropped off in Florida. We lived in Jersey at the time. So for me, I felt like 100% we had done everything that we needed to do to prepare her for dropping her off in a different state and leaving her there. We did our jobs. I did my job. I know she's going to be fine. And that was the comfort that I had that allowed me to get in the car and drive to the airport, knowing that I was leaving her in a dorm by herself. You know, her roommate hadn't shown up yet. I think she ended up staying in that room for a couple days or weeks without a roommate. But There's just that knowing that I did everything right. I prepared her for being on her own. Yeah, you're always going to have unforeseen things that come up, but in terms of just being able to take care of yourself, you want to know for sure that I've taught them everything that they need in order to take care of themselves. They're going to be fine. That to me is the biggest thing, because, and even, you did a series, you and Russ did a series called Leaving Home. We watched that again. And even watching that reassured me that the one thing that you have to know for sure when you are dropping them off and you're leaving is that they are prepared to be by themselves. I didn't coddle them too much. I didn't do all the things for them so they can't do for themselves. I made sure that they can do all the things that they need to do by themselves when I leave.
I think one of the key things that has been part of our discussion early on, and I'm talking about when they were 9 and 10 years old, is that as an engineer, I was always thinking system and process. And so my process in those days was I'm always treating them like they're 4 years older than they already are. So by the time they graduate high school, or let's say the time they graduated middle school, 8th grade, I was treating them like their matriculation into high school, 9th grade, was their matriculation into freshman year of college, which means I'm not washing your clothes. I'm not, I'm not doing all that little stuff that's for you. I'm removing the bumpers and the rails. And now I'm going to give you feedback. It was a pre-advisory mode, so that by the time you got actually to the day, you had practiced for 4 years how to wash your clothes, how to source food, what food should look like, what is it like to close the house at night, all that stuff. And it was a deliberate piece to say 4 years in advance. And I said that because, I don't know about your family, but for me, I'm second generation college. And I clearly remember the time going into my, living in my freshman dorm, washing my clothes for the first time. I had never been to a coin laundry because we had washing facilities at the house. And I was like shocked because I was broke in college. And I was like, wait, I got to pay money for this? Like I wasn't prepared for that. Right. And then to save money, because I'm an idiot, I washed my whites with my darks. And you know what happened next? Go ahead, what happened next? Of course my underwear came out pink. Of course they did. So these are things that I'm trying to eliminate as their experience in advance. And that was a part of that 4-year kind of offset.
Yeah.
What other deliberate thoughts did you have about preparing them before we got to this point?
I think just making sure that, thinking more so about Mike because it's coming up in less than 30 days, making sure that he can cook for himself, and he's an expert at spaghetti at this point. That's like the one thing that he can make. And I feel like he needs to be able to make more, but they don't have a kitchen, so he's got some time. He can source food, like you said, no problem. He goes to the grocery store when he runs out of food. So I love the fact that, for the things that he eats, he knows how much things cost. Because I think, some kids aren't in the position that our kids are in, which is we make them do certain things on their own. So some kids who don't go to the grocery store and buy things on a regular basis have no clue of what things in a grocery store cost. I like that our kids know that.
Yeah, and just to put an asterisk on that, at this point, we don't feed our kids.
For the most part, we don't.
For like 90% of their meals, they're on their own.
Yeah.
Now, they can cook. They can use the full kitchen facility. If we happen to cook, of course, they can have some or whatever.
Yeah.
But if I'm going out to grab some food and bring it back, I'm buying 2 meals. I'm not buying 4.
Yes, they are pretty much on their own, except for the fact that we provide a house.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, water, electricity, all that.
You touched on Leaving Home. We watched it yesterday. So Leaving Home 10 years ago, Rustin had an idea. That's my brother, had an idea to say, I want to do this web content, this web series. And he flew out to Los Angeles, went to a family's home. The daughter was going to be a freshman at North Carolina A&T. Mm-hmm. And so he went out, he videoed a bunch of content of the family together, preparing for her to fly across country, and then followed her to A&T and recorded the first, he called it 48 hours. It was really like 72 hours of getting there with her whole family and a lot of interviews, and then interspersed content of alumni talking about their freshman year. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't thought about that series for like 5 years or so, and it just popped back up, and we watched the whole thing because here 10 years later, our son is going to that same school,
going to the same school,
which is incredible.
Yeah, because we never would have saw that coming.
Yeah, and it stands up. Now,
Absolutely.
Now the bookstore has changed. We noticed little things since we've been to campus, but none of that matters. What matters is all the emotion was correct, and still holds up, and then all the parents' reactions, the kids' reactions, and just the idea of kind of the uncertainty, what she goes through, and all that is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's Leaving Home, an HBCU story. It's on YouTube. I definitely think watch it. I'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Every parent that is thinking about sending their kid to an HBCU or is about to prepare to send their kid to college, you should definitely watch it, because having been through the process of dropping off our first child at college and watching that experience, it really doesn't matter whether it's an HBCU or not. It is the same thing. You're going to go to Target. You're going to have a list of all the things that you need for your room. You're going to be cleaning the room and decorating the room and, running all the errands around campus, and then finally saying goodbye. So it hits home. One, because I've done it already, the emotions are the same, and then I'm about to do it again in 30 days. So yeah, it really hits home. And I think I found myself tearing up again just watching it, because I know everything that has happened is going to happen all over again. And even though, once again, and I'm sure both of us are very confident in the training he's had, the work ethic we've instilled, and his own intelligence level, he's going to be fine. There is still, when we get home and we go to sleep at night, one son's not here. So, there is that adjustment.
No, that'll be fine. What is there? Like, let's not paint the rosy picture. There are some rough edges. Boy needs to work on some stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Socially need to work on some stuff. Socially need to figure out, this generation. Like when I was younger, I had an Atari 2600. There was 8 directions on the joystick and 1 button.
Right.
These guys have full on 30 directional keypads, 12 buttons, all types of stuff, and that level of excitement or stimulation plugs directly into their brain, so they spend all their time in front of the video game.
True.
All of it.
So what are you saying? You think that's what he's going to do?
I think that's what they all do, and I think that's a problem socially. I think that you guys got to work on getting out.
Oh, I see.
And meeting people, so that you can make friends and stuff, and that's a key part of growing up. The relationships that we've all made in college, in many cases, are the lasting relationships in our lives.
Absolutely.
Which, it's different when you're not present, when you're just waiting to get back to the room so you can plug back in.
It'll be interesting to see if he becomes, engulfed in gaming there, because he could, or if he, gets out and meets people. And for me, while I'm not nervous about that at all, in my mind, that's a total experiment, and I'm totally willing to drop my son into the fire and see how it goes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's not like this rosy picture, he's so ready 100%. Because he's not. There's stuff that college is supposed to be a finishing school. It's the opportunity to learn academics, to learn socially, and to make relationships. So he's got a couple barriers to overcome.
Absolutely.
To get the most
and
out
not
of
just
that.
Socially, but I agree with you.
Yeah. So, I think that's what should you be thinking about? Did you give all the lessons? And do you feel like you gave all the lessons? And also tap into the village, because the lessons that you have in your head might not be the ones that you might be missing some that your close friends might be able to impart to your kids. Yeah. I think that's a cool part. I remember my dad, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for me to leave. It wasn't that emotionally he wasn't ready for me to leave. I just don't think he knew what to say. Right. Mm-hmm. So I remember the fact that I was going off to DC from New Jersey, that's 4.5 hours or 4 hours. So you can't get right to me. Right. And he has to think, is this boy prepared? And so now he's having these I'm prepared for academics. I'm prepared for socially. I'm prepared for sports.
Yeah.
But are you prepared to go to DC, which was one of the murder capitals of the country at the time? Are you prepared to go to, a all-black university? Are you prepared to not be able to come right back home and all that kind of stuff? So I remember the speech that I remember, and I'm sure there was probably others, but I'm, in my teenage mind, I'm remembering the stuff. His was so what do you do if you hear gunshots? I'm like, this is the speech? I was like,
This is what you wanted to impart
I
right
said,
before you left?
I said, I guess I run. He goes, no, you duck. You get down on the ground. I'm like, this is not the college speech, man. But that was the speech. Like, I guess maybe like I was ready. And here's my, but not for this part of the stuff. I have no idea. But that's the one I remember, which is insane.
That's funny.
Yeah. So anyway, you got anything else?
I don't have anything else.